I'm Mark Angelini, president of Mercy Housing Lakefront, and I'm very pleased to stand before you today and report that the state of Mercy Housing is sound and robust. We have navigated what we hopefully will be the worst part of the COVID-19 pandemic, with MHL finances in sound shape and carrying no debt. We've maintained our core staff and hired new key employees. We're moving forward with a robust real estate development pipeline consisting both of significant rehabs of our existing properties as well as new developments. Most importantly, though, we've stood by our residents through unprecedented challenges. We've minimized serious COVID-19 impacts, and we've kept 99.5% of our residents stably housed during this time. And all these points are critical to the theme of tonight's celebration: moving forward together, healing, growing, thriving. A person as well as an organization cannot thrive unless growing, and of course nothing can grow if it is not fully healthy. Indeed, healing, growing, and thriving are three perfect words to describe how we achieve the ultimate mission impact of Mercy Housing Lakefront, and that is empowering the individuals and families living in our properties to live in hope, to take charge of, and move forward with their lives. As we know, it all begins with good quality housing, but it must include much more, such as fully leveraging the economic impact of our real estate development, partnering with institutions and organizations to provide physical and emotional healing, finally engaging residents in ways that enhance their creative capacity to enable them to develop their talents. It is this approach, starting with housing and then providing a whole series of services that enable personal healing and growth, which puts those living in Mercy Housing properties in a position to overcome trauma and to thrive. So this evening, we're celebrating individuals and organizations that are our partners in achieving that mission impact. The Spirit of Mercy awardee is Bob Mathis, a longtime leader who has been personally involved in the construction of affordable housing for many years, including two of our recent award-winning rehabs of the Miriam and Major Jenkins apartments. By the way, the Major Jenkins received notice yesterday that we've won a national award, recognizing it nationally through the Affordable Housing Finance magazine as the epitome of preserved affordable housing. So, kudos to everybody here that made that possible. Our Inspiring Hope awardee is Pamela Fountain Brown, Director of Community and Citizenship at Turner Construction Company. Pamela is an accomplished construction industry professional giving back to her community by working at the grassroots to develop a new generation of skilled construction workers as well as property developers from among residents of Chicago's underserved communities. Her work is critical if we're ever going to create a Chicago that is thriving and working for all of its residents. Our Partner in Innovation awardees are David Weinberg and Jerry Newton, founders and operators of the Weinberg-Newton Gallery. This summer, Mercy Housing Lakefront partnered with the gallery during their Keychain exhibit, which was a multimedia artistic expression of the importance of home and community, showing the damage done to people when they are denied dignified housing and stable communities, and it did so by highlighting the intentional extraction of wealth from and consequent isolation of individuals and families of color on the south and west sides of Chicago, the impacts of which we are living profoundly to this day. The exhibit, though, also provided hope in the form of art activities to our families and permanent supportive housing residents, and I'm delighted to say that we will now be continuing this partnership by bringing art programming back to our properties, families in permanent supportive housing. So a round of applause for that great news. And so what ties all of our awardees to our mission is that each one is committed in their own way to show that it is possible and that many things are going on to enable those who have been ignored and left behind to live in hope. I'd like to welcome now Sister Joellen McCarthy to share an invocation for our program this evening, and then she'll be followed by Phil Ashton and Desiree Hunter, who will be serving as our MCs. All three are our board members, and so we're very happy to have them taking the stage this evening. Sister Joellen.
Thank you, Mark. Good and gracious God, we know you are in our midst as we gather on this September evening to celebrate healing, growing, thriving. The challenges of these past years have made us even more grateful for the blessing of stable housing. We join with one another this evening, strengthened by the legacy that has gone before us, encouraged, inspired by the hope and resilience of the residents of Mercy Housing, grateful for the generosity of so many donors and organizations, and sustained by the solidarity we feel with one another. We are daily bombarded with images of those made homeless by war, natural disaster, or Indianapolis. We ask that you enliven our hope to continue to reach out to our neighbors in Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and Chicago. We ask that you keep our hearts and our hope alive as your guiding presence enlivens us and guides us as we move forward together. Amen.
Thank you, Mark, and thank you, Sister Joellen. I'm Phil Ashton, Mercy Housing, Board Chair for Mercy Housing Lakefront.
And I'm Desiree Hunter, Board Member for Mercy Housing Lakefront, and we're excited to be here tonight to celebrate with all of you.
And to raise funds for Mercy Housing Lakefront's mission. We'll see so many reasons to give during the program tonight, but I wanted to be sure to highlight one at the top. We have an anonymous donor ready to match dollar for dollar up to $25,000 in new and increased donations made here tonight. So new folks tuning in online, or those of you right here in the room, as you hear about the incredible partnerships and programs that we're engaged with, keep in mind that you can double your impact by giving tonight.
And how can I give tonight? I know you might be asking this of yourself. By texting MFT 2022 to 44321. So you open up your phone, and in the to field, type 44321, and then the message you're sending is as simple as MFT 2022. We'll be coming back to the fundraiser a little later in the program. Next up, we have an opportunity to learn more about one of the incredible partnerships that helps Mercy Housing Lakefront make an impact on the community. Welcome Cassandra Slade from Wintrust to introduce the Wintrust Partners in Innovation Award.
Good evening. My name is Cassandra Slade. I'm Senior Vice President. I work on community impact issues and challenges and areas for Wintrust Financial Corporation. The Wintrust Partners in Innovation Award is presented annually to recognize an innovative community development collaboration. The Weinberg Newton Gallery has a mission to collaborate with nonprofit organizations and artists to educate and engage the public on social justice issues. For the Key Change exhibit, Weinberg Newton Gallery partnered with Mercy Housing Lakefront, artists, architects, and activists to explore housing. Art by Tonika Lewis Johnson and Gabrielle Garland brought greater awareness of housing injustices, including land contract scams that stole wealth from Black families and communities and ultimately left vacant houses scarring communities on the south and west sides of Chicago. The Southside Home Movie Project and May Jump Size Bread Makers inspired reflection on the moments, sounds, and smells that make housing feel like home. Looking forward, Riff Studios' architecture of reparations has solicited responses to reimagine vacant land and opportunities to repair wrongs. Isabel Strauss presented her colorful, collaged response. Youth from the Weinberg Newton Gallery Teen Collective, a 6-month visual arts program engaging Mercy Housing Lakefront youth in art and social justice, also participated. The youth shared illustrations of their homes and led art-making activities for families from the general public, as well as from Mercy Housing communities. Other Mercy residents saw the exhibit and participated in art-making activities during an event coordinated with Mercy Housing Lakefront's annual Feel Better Challenge. For their creativity, commitment, and perseverance, we are proud to honor Weinberg Newton Gallery.
Well, thank you so very much for this recognition. It means a great deal to us. But I have to tell you that partnering with Mercy Housing is a labor of love. And I hope it's a partnership that goes on for many, many more years to come. Something I've noticed about every single one of our partnership initiatives with Mercy is just how incredibly dedicated these folks are to their mission. And for that, and it never strays. And for that, Mark and your entire crew, I give you great kudos. So you have heard that our most recent partnership with Mercy Housing was around our exhibit called Key Change, the programming that accompanied it, and also the Teen Collective that has been going on since 2020. The exhibit, I'll tell you just a little bit about it, and incidentally, you can go to our website, weinbergnewtongallery.com, and we have a video of the entire exhibit, so I would recommend doing that. But the exhibit looked at housing from a number of different points of view, from the legal, emotional, and structural point of view. Some of the points have already been mentioned, and that is the discussion of abusive housing practices that were designed to actually steal houses from people. Home movies celebrating people in their homes together. The notion of reparations, and within the gallery, we had an opportunity for visitors to the gallery to actually design what they thought would be appropriate reparations for the future. So then the other thing you have to sort of imagine here for a second, and that is that you would walk into the gallery, and the first thing that you would be aware of is this amazing smell of freshly baked bread. And so this was an integral part of our exhibit also. And it was mentioned that May Jamsai had this exhibit where she had a dozen bread-making machines in tandem on top of marbles. And so when you got this great aroma, you also heard the machines rumbling, and it was a wonderful effect. And we are lucky tonight to have May with us. May, you want to raise your hand? Incidentally, she did not bring any bread with her, so don't bombard her. So the visitors to the gallery were able to think about housing in a number of different ways. And I wanted to also do a shout out to Nabiha Khan Giordano, who is the curator of that exhibit and also director of the gallery. Nabiha? So the programming for the exhibit touched on the notions of green housing, and then folks from Mercy Housing came and gave a very interesting talk on affordable housing in Chicago, and this was enlightening. I didn't know anything about it. We also hosted 2 family days where adults and their children could get involved in art making. So all told, it was a wonderful experience. The other part of our attachment to Mercy Housing is this wonderful teen collective, which Lisa Linvey, on my right, started more than 2 years ago and has been running for that period of time and has been so inspiring to so many of the young kids that are a part of it. I thought it would be best if Lisa would tell us a little about it. You want me to hold that?
Sure. We'll do a switch. Thank you.
Good deal.
I'll keep it quick. So first, I just want to thank Mercy Housing for recognizing the importance of art and arts programs, because oftentimes those are overlooked. And I think, more importantly, I really want to thank tonight the teen participants. And one of them will be here tonight. I'm not quite sure if she's made it yet, but her name is Siriana Williams. She's an incredible young person. I hope you get a chance to speak to her. Is she here? Yay, let's give a round to Siriana. To the teens in the collective, and for your families, I just want to say thank you for trusting me. I also want to thank you for taking risks, for trying new things, for showing up for each other every week when there was so much uncertainty happening around us, and for sharing your hopes and your stories with us, as well as listening to me talk about food every week, and as well as their leadership. And I just want you all to know you haven't had a chance to meet the teens, but they are truly incredible, and I hope you do get a chance to engage with them. The Teen Collective, along with the dedicated resident service staff at Mercy Housing, and I think Angela is here, who I've worked so incredibly close with, have truly built a community that values youth voices and elevates them, and that's so important. And I really do believe that when you provide young people with the resources and spaces to dream, they will take that and keep it going. So thank you again. It has been truly a pleasure, and I'm so excited to continue our partnership with you.
Congratulations again to the Weinberg Newton Gallery. I have to tell you, Phil, my daughters and I, we're fascinated with art. We are. And we did participate in the family day activities at the gallery, and we had an amazing time.
Yeah, this is a great partnership. And I know that my visit to the gallery, just the smell of bread, but also the opportunity to think about housing as a source of hope for the future in many of these communities was really inspiring. Up next in our program, we have a video featuring Albert, who is a resident of the Johnston Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. This is Mercy Housing Lakefront's first community developed in Wisconsin. So let's listen to Albert's story.
In my experience, I thought I'd be homeless like forever. I felt safer out in the cold than being in some of those shelters. And I was hospitalized for hypothermia twice. I thought that was the end of my world. I'm Albert. I live at the Johnston Center in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
The Johnston Center was a revitalization project. It was a combination of a historic property, the Johnston Medical Clinic, and new construction. We opened in 2010. It serves 91 residents that were either chronically homeless or at risk of homelessness. We have 2 on-site case managers that work here full-time. Our case managers will hold team meetings in the spaces here so that we can have all their supports in one place.
Albert, how do you think things are going with you so far?
I think things are going swimmingly.
What was your life like before you got to Mercy Housing, and what's it like now?
It was erratic. Without having a solid roof over my head, it was a total roller coaster.
Now in Milwaukee, we build recovery teams around the individual. And so the housing piece is a huge piece of that, but also I work with Albert with his substance abuse, mental health.
I generally meet with Albert every couple of weeks alone at his home. We have various providers that help with such things as possible employment, psychotherapy, art therapy, yoga, and various other activities.
Once Albert is exposed to resources on his own initiative, just continues to grow and benefit from the resources that are provided.
Currently, I'm in a one-on-one art therapy experience. We talk about things that are happening in my life. I enjoy painting and sketching. I can see life beyond the Johnson Center. I'm going to get a big old bookshelf so I can take my books out of their boxes. That's kind of like a thing that I'm planning on doing. When a person is homeless, they feel like all hope is lost. With the help of being in intensive therapy and having a place like the Johnston Center, I see a brighter future for myself.
Wow, Phil. What an amazing and moving story about hope and how Albert redefined himself. Tonight, Albert was not able to join us in person in Chicago. And I understand that he's at Chicago, at home, watching remotely. Albert, thank you for sharing your courageous story.
Yes, thank you, Albert. That combination of affordable housing and supportive services, the recovery team idea, that's really helped Albert take the steps he needed to heal and to grow, and it looks like he's thriving. It's such a critical part of what we do at Mercy Housing Lakefront. We've heard over and over again also about the transformative power of art. That's a hard part of the programming to fund. And your donations tonight could help bring art to more residents.
Your donations tonight will help make more stories like Albert's a reality. Text MFT 2022 to 44321.
Now, the Spirit of Mercy Award is presented by Mercy Housing Lakefront to honor an individual for lifetime achievement in helping to create a more humane world. Bob Mathis has exemplified a spirit of mercy through his work as a construction partner for affordable housing development, as a philanthropist, and as an advocate. The team has compiled a video of some of the folks who know Bob best, sharing the impact he has made in our community. Let's watch.
Hi, Bob. I'm so honored to be able to present you tonight with Mercy Housing Lakefront Spirit of Mercy Award. It's offered to an individual that shown lifetime commitment to creating a more just and humane world, and I really can't think of a better person to receive it than you. There's so many ways that the work that you did, the types of projects you chose to do, really reflect your commitment to be a professional that was not only trying to run a profitable business and pay their employees, but also to leave a mark in truly creating a more just, humane, and respecting world, particularly for those who have been traumatized by their life experiences. Thank you, Bob, for all the great things that you've done for Mercy Housing Lakefront, for Mercy Housing Lakefront's residents throughout the course of your career. We appreciate you. We appreciate your excellent team. You will be missed, but you have left your mark. So congratulations, Bob.
I was really excited when I started working at Mercy Housing Lakefront because I knew that we were working with Lynn Mathis, and I was excited to be able to work with that team and specifically to be associated with Bob Mathis, who's really an industry giant, especially when thinking of Illinois and thinking of this market that we're in.
Bob is just one of those easygoing people that is just so committed and so compassionate and so, affordable housing would be at such a loss in the city of Chicago without Bob.
It seems like everywhere you turn, there's an affordable housing developer that kind of leaned on Lynn Mathis as their go-to firm. It's kind of amazing.
I think being recognized by one of your clients is fitting because you worry more about the clients than the company, and in some cases, and yet you're still probably the best business partner and brother one could hope for.
Everybody says the same things about you, Bob. On time, on budget, the highest quality work, committed to local hiring and the local community and the residents, and easy to work with and mission driven.
Bob goes beyond just being the contractor. And I think he's really a mission driven guy. He set up his company to reflect those values. So when you work with Bob and his team, you get total dedication that goes beyond, the boundary of the building.
He also supports all the programs and, Rehab Network and other kind of organizations that are really trying to bring it to the community and be inclusive and really bring diversity to the workplace.
Bob and I were brought up to value truth and honesty and empathy for people, and to treat others the way we would want them to treat us. And I think Bob has succeeded in business and in life, living his life that way.
Bob was always a guy that you could rely on for honesty and problem solving.
And he's someone personally who, I'm not a general contractor, not a developer, someone who works in the policy space who I can rely on to, have a quick phone call, ask him what a term means, ask him to explain something. And I really appreciated his ability to kind of always take those phone calls and have those conversations as well.
That's Bob's in it for what's right in the world. He's not in it necessarily for his fame or for money or anything. It's about doing what's right in the world and giving to those who might be less fortunate and can use the housing that we're providing.
It didn't seem like ever that they were about money. They were about doing the job. I think it's going to be hard to find a company that's going to be able to fill those shoes.
Bob, thank you for all that you have done and all that you do. You make a difference in our world. You make our world a better place. You make it a more humane place. Not only as a contractor who creates homes for those in need and who creates good jobs for people who need work, but also as an advocate, a donor, and a servant.
Go enjoy your retirement. We will miss you immensely, immensely, immensely. You have given so much. It's time to give some to yourself and enjoy life. Congrats.
Wow, what a powerful testimonial. Please welcome Bob Mathis to the stage.
So I wrote a speech, which is on the thing, but I am beyond, there's tears in my eyes. I never expected this, but I'm going to read the speech anyway. I want to thank Mercy Housing Lakefront for this award with great humility. After all, I'm just a general contractor, but I'm also an advocate for the work that Mercy Housing and many other local and national affordable housing developers accomplish. Can I add, not without remarkable skill and patience. I've spent nearly 40 years of my life building and preserving structures for organizations like Mercy Housing in order to make the world a safer, more humane place for people who need this type of advocacy. One of the most basic needs, a safe, secure home, it would seem obvious. But in reality, it requires dedication, long hours to navigate the world of public-private partnerships and tax credit syndicators. However, it's worth the effort, is in the end, we get beautiful buildings for residents that now have a foundation from which to prosper. My company, Lynn Mathis Incorporated, and its dedicated staff have built or preserved over 15,000 units in my tenure as head of our affordable housing division. How many individuals have benefited from these results? I can only guess, but I know it's a large number. Whether it's supportive housing like much in Mercy's portfolio, mixed income communities like the former Community Green, or just basic affordable tax credit based rentals. In the end, it's about the people who live there and the people who work there. That has always been my motivation, and it's a true honor to be recognized for this. Thank you, Mercy Housing.
We've been hearing about the impact of some incredible partnerships in Milwaukee and Chicago. John, our board member based in Indianapolis, is checking in to make sure that we're covering the whole region. John, I hear we have a partner in the room with you in Indianapolis. Can you two share some of the progress you've made in Indianapolis?
Hello, Desiree. Yes, we're very excited to be here this evening, and we're here with some family and friends and enjoying ourselves, and very motivated by the story from Albert and others to all that we are doing. My good friend here is Rodney Stockman. He is the Senior Strategy Director for Homelessness for the City of Indianapolis, and we've been very happy to have some great discussions this evening with him, and we're very excited to be here this evening with everyone. As everyone, or a lot of people know, a lot of our focus here in Indianapolis more recently has been with our new development called Central Greens. It's a total of 156 units, which 35 of them will be permanent supportive housing. And I know we're very excited to get it going, but Rodney, maybe it's kind of hit a little snag recently. Would you like to share a little bit where the city's at on that?
Sure. I want to stress how important this project is to us. When we invited Mercy to come look at doing supportive housing here in Indianapolis, we did it because we want to improve the way we do supportive housing and make it more impact focused. And yes, we ran into a little snag with the project. It is a very complex capital stack, and it kind of ran into the COVID aftermath of rising construction costs. But the mayor and the city is really behind this project, and we're going to work with the Mercy team to figure out how to repackage the financing.
Appreciate that, Rodney. How do you feel about the current state of affordable housing in Indianapolis and possibly the role of Mercy going forward?
Well, it's really interesting. We got a lot of ARP, American Rescue Plan voucher assistance, and we had all the vouchers, but we had nowhere to find landlords to rent to them. So we have a real supply issue of affordable housing here in Indianapolis, and we'd like to work with Mercy to help solve that supply issue.
We appreciate that. And we are focused on the new development with Central Greens and the permanent supportive housing and those who are chronically homeless and what we are trying to do to make affordable housing. We do have over 600 units in Indiana that Mercy Housing is providing for senior and families. These homes are not necessarily designated for homeless, but we do hear quite frequently from our residents about the impact Mercy has and making their lives better and preventing potentially being in the state of without a home and all the services that Mercy can provide and be available for that. But with that, we thank everyone. It's nice to be with you live, and we look forward to the rest of the evening, and we'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John and Rodney. Mercy Housing Lakefront's Inspiring Hope Award recognizes an individual for overcoming adversity to achieve personal and professional success. Pamela Fountain Brown is the Senior Director of Community and Citizenship for Turner Construction, where she leads efforts for the development and execution of economic impact programs for the Obama Presidential Center and the O'Hara 21 Project, and is responsible for planning at the Turner School of Construction Management, which is a series of free workshops for entrepreneurs from diverse backgrounds interested in construction management. Pamela has more than 20 years of experience developing diversity programs which promote economic self-sufficiency among low-income and underrepresented populations through entry routes into high-wage, high-skill careers within the construction industry. This includes 11 years spent working for the nonprofit Chicago Women in Trades. Pamela has certainly received and achieved much success. As for adversity, Pamela was raised in a single-parent household on the west side of Chicago. But contrary to what people might assume, her upbringing was a source of strength rather than adversity for her. We'll let Pamela share her own story about overcoming adversity. Congratulations, Pamela, on your Inspiring Hope Award.
Thank you. So thank you, Desiree, for that introduction and those warm words. I thought I would be able to remember my speech, but nevertheless, I have paper here. So I've never been so nervous in my life. But thanks again to Mercy Housing Lakefront for selecting me. I would like to thank my husband and my son who could not be here tonight because being an advocate sometimes means missed meals, missed school performance, and let's face it, my cat has even missed some meals. So there you go. So I want to thank them too. To my coworkers who've decided to extend their day and join me here tonight, so I thank you very much for that. As I was speaking with Liz about what this award actually means about overcoming adversity, it gave me pause. And it gave me pause for a couple of reasons, because when I think about adversity, first and foremost, I know what that looks like, and nothing in my life looks like that. Second, I think of adversity as the universe actually stitching a bunch of temporary situations together to make me who I am today. So I don't see it that way at all. As Desiree mentioned, I grew up on the west side of Chicago to a single mom. I'm the youngest of 7. She graduated with her GED. So as I think about my time at Chicago Women in Trades, as I was sitting there, as I talked to some of the women who's actually worked with Lynn Mathis to create a living for themselves and for their families, I thought about it in that in another parallel universe, my mother could have been one of my clients. She told me a story that the year I was about to turn 1, about a month before my first birthday, she got a good state job, as people would call it. And right before she was about to start, I had to be hospitalized for an infection. She had to make the unfortunate decision about whether or not she was going to start this job that she knew would change the trajectory of her family or sit at my bedside and do that. So she made the difficult decision to go ahead and start the job. And I want to thank God for a village because I had an uncle who sat there by my side with me as going through whatever it was I had at the time. And I think about her story and that is the story and that is the decision that many people who are marginalized and live in low-income communities across the country have to face each and every single solitary day. So I am grateful for the work of Mercy Housing and what you do to make certain that you are providing those residents with affordable housing and in a safe environment and a safe community. So I do not stand on the shoulders of my mom easily or lightly. I don't take it for granted because it's not my story to tell. In fact, her story allows me to lead with empathy and to advocate and to give voices for those who don't have those voices. So when we talk about inspiring hope, I get to do that each and every single solitary day when I decide to suit up and go on the battlefield and really advocate for those people who want to go into the construction industry, for those businesses who actually want to have those contracts on these large and public and private projects. So I don't take that for granted. So I get to do that each and every single solitary day, and I have to acknowledge that today is my anniversary with Turner Construction. I've been there for 7 years today, and I could not imagine actually working with a partner like Turner Construction for this long. So again, as Desiree mentioned, again, I'm from the west side of Chicago. I am a first-generation college graduate. Again, that comes with its own set of issues and things of that nature, but I don't see it as adversity. Again, those are things that push me forward and send me off into a trajectory that allow me, again, to talk to people who look like me, because it is my life's mission to make certain that people who look like me have equitable access to jobs and careers and housing that suits them. So I am excited to accept this award. I'm actually even more excited to participate in this discussion with Edgar to talk more about what it looks like to work with a developer, to work with a company like Lynn Mathis, and to work with a progressive advocate, to what it looks like to move forward together.
Let's invite Edgar for our keynote conversation. So I'll just begin by saying, and thank you so much for that, Pamela. It's really, your work is very inspiring, and it's an honor really to work alongside you. And moving forward together, I think generally is a time for us to celebrate Mercy Housing Lakefront's work, as well as the supporters and partners who make it happen. In this keynote conversation, we're going to turn to talk a little bit more broadly about this idea of inclusive development. And let me begin by introducing Edgar Flagg to the stage. Edgar is currently Regional Director of Real Estate Development for Mercy Housing Lakefront. He leads the development department, and he sets strategy for our work in Illinois, Wisconsin, and Indiana. He's got a deep background in real estate, dating back over 20 years, working for private and nonprofit developers. He's directly contributed to the creation of over 3,000 units that collectively represent almost $500 million in investment. So with this star-studded panel here for our keynote, let me set up the conversation by saying that at Mercy Housing Lakefront, our residents are our North Star, that we're in this business to expand high-quality, affordable, service-enriched housing. That's critical to what we do. But that's not the only way that we measure impact. We also often ask ourselves, how can we spur transformative change in the communities where we work? And now, Edgar, when I teach my graduate students affordable housing development, we often approach the real estate project as an abstract entity, right? A set of bricks and sticks that need to be assessed through Excel models of financial feasibility. And I've really come to appreciate, working alongside you in my capacity as a Mercy board member, how in fact real estate development projects are about relationships and networks. And so with that as context, let me ask you to talk about how you approach real estate development, and about maybe tell us about some of the inclusive practices that you are using in your work.
Sure. Thanks, Phil, and congratulations, Pamela. I like to tell folks, I've said it before, I came into development wanting to do it and focus on bricks, sticks, and finance, and learned over time that it's really a focus of politics and horoscopes. And so it's the intentional push to understanding the relationships and how to make deals happen, originally done to get deals to close, as my job as a developer, but really more thinking in terms of inclusion and in terms of Mercy values is how do we bring everyone to the table, and how do we get everyone's opinion for making the hard decisions that we still have to make to be affordable developers. So it's truly is
effort now where we look at how do we collaborate. I think one of the key parts is collaborative partnerships. And why I like collaborative partnerships is from the aspect of how do we make sure that every voice makes it to the table to at least become heard.
If I can add
Sure, please.
to that, my role in Turner is to discover every community has a heartbeat. And that is my role to actually figure out what's the pulse there, right? And so with Edgar saying that it's important that every voice is heard, my job is to make certain that it's a brave space so that people know that their voices are heard, so people know that they're included in the conversation, and it's not a bunch of strangers coming in saying what we're going to do to them, but what we will do with them.
Right. Right, Edgar, you've talked a little bit about, for instance, just the choice of builders, right? We've heard tonight about the choice of builders and suppliers can be a tremendously impactful way, right? It's not just a question of how do you slot in a set of skills, but how do you use that choice in a way that leverages inclusive community development. And I think that's a key part of our commitment to racial equity at Mercy Housing Lakefront is that we're able to not just think of it as a purely contractual relationship. Pamela, you've used the term workforce engagement in some of our conversations to talk about sort of that broader perspective on employment. Maybe could you talk to us a little bit about what that term means for you and signifies?
Sure. So a lot of people talk about workforce development, and I look at it through a different lens. The workforce is already there. You're just engaging the people who actually you want to come and work for you or with you. So it looks different, right? And so when we talk about what skills we need to work on or be able to construct a project for Mercy Housing, right? When we talk about what are those skills, is beyond being able to pick up a hammer. It's beyond any of those things. And I hear people talk a lot about soft skills, and I really hate that term because there's really nothing soft about really showing someone who was a formerly justice involved person about how to engage in healthy conflict resolution. There's nothing soft about that. There's nothing soft about really engaging low-income residents about the importance of looking at their lives in a holistic way, and maybe that once they actually get into the construction industry, maybe it's not a good idea to continue to hang with the folks that you were hanging with before you got in there, right, in that way. So when you talk about the workforce, it's really about engaging people. It's not about developing them, but it's really about engaging them as individuals.
Right. And these have larger community impacts, right? I mean, these choices and these practices, these inclusive development practices, they kind of feed an ecosystem, right? I mean, people who join your programs, what do you see them go
Correct.
off to do?
So it's a matter of being able to see people go through a life cycle and knowing that they were once on public assistance, right, and living in unstable housing and couch surfing, but because of developers like Mercy and because of builders like Lynn Mathis who understand how important it is for someone to be able to walk a couple blocks and be able to build something that they're gonna live in. Right? It's a continuum of services, if you will, and it's a holistic approach, and then being able to go from 0 to 100 in a matter of months, and really being able to see that there's a possibility to know that I'm now living in the building that I built.
Yeah.
That's a different kind of pride.
Right, and that's a completely different way maybe of thinking about affordable housing. That,
yes.
Right, you're both contributing to housing for those living close to the poverty line, but you're also building home ownership opportunities for those that have stable employment and construction jobs. Yeah, fascinating. Now, this is not easy work to carry out, is it? Could you talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you see?
I was speaking with Fatma earlier today, and I said, when you talk about challenges, it's like whack-a-mole. When you think you got one, 3 more pop up, right? And you just never know where they're gonna come from, because you could have someone who's trying to navigate the fact that they have a young kid at home and no one there to actually put them on the bus because they have to be at the job site at 6 o'clock in the morning, right? So then that's where childcare issues come in, right? Or because they may not have stable transportation, but their job site is all the way in Carroll Stream. Oh my goodness, how am I gonna get there? And so it's different challenges for different individuals and for different businesses. And so it's being able to really meet people where they are. And that is why it's important to really work with progressive developers and work with progressive builders who actually know what it takes to truly activate a community on all levels, because you then have all those services to make certain that you are providing kind of holistic care to those individuals going into those high-wage, high-skilled jobs.
Right. Yeah, Edgar, do you want to?
Yeah, I think My challenge as a developer comes into expectation management, in that communities, individuals, funders, other groups, lenders, investors, they all have their expectations of projects and of goals. Mercy clearly has an expectation to create affordable housing that provides services and enriches the lives. And how do we balance that with the timing requirements of the money at the moment, of the situation of the community, of that individual that we're talking to that wants this contracting job, whether they're building their business, whether they're a resident of that community, or just that they're an advocate for that area or for their field. And so the challenge is, how do we manage expectation? And there is no solution but for we just try to be at the conversations early and often, and we just try to be honest and upfront of what we can do and what we can't. And we just do our best.
Yeah. Would you say this is an opportune moment? It sort of seems like 20 or 30 years ago, these were not easy conversations to have, but has that changed? Is this a moment where people are starting to get it? Maybe.
I will say this. I said things have changed, because 20 years ago we were not having the conversation at all. I think that now, 20 years later, because some of these ills and challenges are starting to hit some different demographics, it is allowing us to have more open and honest and transparent conversations about what the challenges actually are.
Right. Well, maybe one final question. What does success look like to you? How do you know when you've succeeded?
You want to do that one first?
I'll go first. I mean, they're simple successes, and our general contractor works with a high number of minority or women-based businesses, and that we have a high number of local participation of those working on the site. But there's also the smaller successes that come in anecdotal stories from our resident services people and from our management folks that then express the story of how this impacted someone's lives. We don't see that as much on the development side, but we know that those are successes when we hear that.
Yeah.
So I would say that success is relative, right? Because, and I think there's a danger in comparing what your successes actually are. I think that it's important for individuals to know, like, you couldn't do that yesterday, but now you can do it today. That's a success. And so I've started looking at things differently. So it's not necessarily about what success looks like, but it's what it feels like. Because success is building that confidence and knowing that you couldn't do something 2 months ago, but now look at you now. So I think it's all relative, and it's not what it looks like anymore. It's what does it feel like for you?
Okay. Well, thank you both, Pamela Fountain Brown, Edgar Flagg. Thank you for sharing with us tonight. Let's give them both a round of applause. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Pamela and Edgar, and thank you to all the generous donors who gave for the first time tonight, those who regularly give, and those who help make this event possible. We are especially thankful to our Moving Forward Together sponsors. Our award sponsor is Wintrust. Our community builders is US Bank and Northern Trust, and all of our Hope Builders, Home Builders, Mercy Builders, and nonprofit sponsors. I know that I am leaving here inspired by the generosity and commitment of the many partners we've heard about across our region, including Chicago, Milwaukee, and Indianapolis. Partners help Mercy Housing Lakefront to build the buildings and provide services in ways that help individuals and communities heal, grow, and thrive.